Have you ever seen Stab?
Once, I think, at a sleepover when I was like 12.
You live in Woodsboro, and you don't know Stab? Well, your mother loves that movie. She talks about it all the time in group. How well do you remember the original?
I don't know. I mean, it was like super 90s.
Huh.
It was like really overlit, and everyone had weird hair.
Uh-huh. Do you remember the beginning?
Not really. I mean, it started with the kill scene, right? They always started with the kill scene.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's a girl at home, alone. She answers a wrong number and starts talking with the killer, who makes her play a game. Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Okay, welcome to Trimming the Movie Fat, the podcast where we trim films from franchises that don't belong. I'm Stephen Nicholson.
And I'm Paul Nicholson.
And today we're resharpening our kitchen knives as we take on Scream 4 to 6. Which movies will survive the knife-hacking glory of Ghostface? Scream 4, the final Wes Craven-directed entry. Scream 2002, the requel. And the new released Scream 6, Ghostface Takes Manhattan. Keep listening to find out. So, Paul, we covered Scream 1 to 3 in our previous pod. We're now moving on to 4, 5, and 6. You've unfortunately, for those that don't know, as we record this, the 6th entry has just come out here in the UK last Friday. We're recording this on Thursday night, so it's been out 6 days now. I was fortunate enough to go and see it with my wife Alison last night. Unfortunately, you've run out of time to watch it, so we can both debate 4 and 5 today, which we've both recently rewatched, and I will try and give you a spoiler-free review or critique of the new movie when we get on to it there.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
I'm not going to say anything till we get there, but you heard good things. I think those are on the money. But have you got a favourite scene from parts 4 and 5?
Probably just in the fourth one, seeing like the original cast members coming back, because I guess that would be over 10 years since the previous one. So yeah, a decade on. So it was just good to see like Gail Weathers and Dewey and Sydney. So it was good. It was just good to see them back. But I don't actually have a scene that I would say, I really enjoy, that really is memorable compared to the first 3.
Yeah, it's funny because I think with the original trilogy, I could reel off quite a number of different scenes from those movies and go, yeah, I like that. I like this and I like that. So I do struggle a bit more with with 4 and 5. Although I think one of the lines in the fourth one, which stuck with me and I thought was good, is I think from Dewey, who says, "One generation's tragedy is the next one's joke."
That's good.
And that is actually true, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I always remembered that line from the fourth one, which was good. Okay, well, so we're struggling to come up with any moments that. Well, I could actually tell you from the new movie that there's a couple of really good scenes, I would say, but I won't spoil it.
I'm looking forward to
spoil anything there. We are going to go through Scream 4, 5, and 6, and after we've done that, what we will then do is, in your case, you'll be ranking 5 movies. I'll rank all 6, and we'll see where they end up. But before we get to that, let's first of all start talking about Scream 4.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Here is my Woodsboro Massacre anniversary question. What is your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie? One generation's tragedy is the next one's joke.
What is your favorite scary movie, man?
I'll show you.
This week marks the anniversary of the infamous Woodsboro murders. Local celebrity victim Sydney Prescott chose to return to her hometown.
Welcome home, Sydney. Watch the preview of coming events.
What do you want?
Who is this?
He's trying to do Ghostface.
I'm standing in the closet.
Liar. Dewey, what's going on?
It is not public information.
It's all over the internet.
It is?
There's a killer out there patterning his murders after the original movie.
It's time for someone new to die.
The unexpected is the new cliche.
And virgins can die now.
Does that mean that I'm not gonna live as long as these two?
Clearly. To be the new version, the killer should be filming the murders.
Dale! Dale, behind you!
Go ahead if you have the guts.
Not to implicate him. You can't kill Sydney. She's victim royalty.
Not true.
Sid's expendable.
Point taken. Guaranteed third act main cast bloodbath.
Fingers crossed on some nudity for a change.
Time for your last question. Name the remake of the groundbreaking...
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Black Christmas, House of Wax, Hot Night, My Bloody Valentine. It's one of those, right?
None of the above.
I'll be right back.
I know this one. You're not supposed to say that, are you?
You should have seen the look on your face.
Basic core idea of the twist of the story that is in this that is really quite amazing and makes it something completely new. It's like I read it and it's why didn't I ever think of that? That's amazing. And that is right at the core of this story. And I think that thing alone makes this really unique. But there's just a tremendous analysis of the last 10 years of horror. One of the opening scenes they're talking about torture porn and the way the internet and film have merged, what's going on in the world, what kind of generations have been sort of engendered by films of that sort and watching those sorts of film. It's really intellectually, artistically, and sort of scarily, really interestingly woven together in a way that's fresh and new.
Horror film Scream 4 does a pretty good job of being Scream 4. And since that's probably what the Scream fans want, I guess it succeeds on its own terms.
Hello.
Like in the other Scream movies, the characters in this one are sophisticated about horror movies and devote dialogue to dissecting the genre before being dissected themselves. Even the voice of the killer seems to be in on the game.
So Scream 4 was released in 2011. It was directed by Wes Craven. And the plot for this has been many years since the Ghostface killer cut a deadly path through the town of Woodsboro. In order to get over the trauma of those horrific events, Sydney Prescott, played by the returning Neve Campbell, has written a self-help book. She returns to Woodsboro for her book tour and reconnects with old friends Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, and Sheriff Dewey, played by David Arquette. However, Sydney's arrival also sparks the return of Ghostface. Who would have thought? Putting Sydney and everyone she loves in danger. So the gross for this one, it grossed 97 million worldwide on a budget of 40, and that's actually a 40% drop on Scream 3. And I was actually quite surprised by that. Never even made 100 million, which is... Because I know Scream 1 and 2 were big hits, and both of them took about the same amount, and number 3 had a bit of a drop-off. But yeah, so there you go, 40% drop on Scream 3. Its profit multiplier made 2.5 times its budget, which is a series low, and it was only the 83rd highest grossing domestic movie of 2011, again, which is a franchise low. Do you remember what the winner was that year? What was the highest grossing movie? Dobby is Harry Potter's friend.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, it was the final Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. So ratings-wise, Scream 4 Got a 60% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so that's pretty good. 52 out of 100 critic and Metascore on IMDb. And audience-wise, it has 56% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.2 out of 10 on the IMDb audience rating. And here's a fact for you. This was the last movie directed by Wes Craven before his death from cancer in 2015. And in summary, the franchise is showing its age, but Scream 4 is undeniably an improvement over its predecessor. Don't know if I agree with that. With just enough meta humor and clever kills. So, is it an improvement, Paul, on Scream 3?
It's not, no.
Nah, I don't think it is.
No, it's a backward step, really. It's a shame because at that point, the first 3 films, they were done in fairly quick succession, maybe a gap between the second and third, but whereas this one, it's like 11 years on and it just feels old hat by this point.
Were you disappointed? Because I know the thing. I guess you went to see this at the cinema as well.
Yeah.
When I released, so did I. And I don't rate this movie at all. I think, if this is the boring one for me, I just found it really boring and uninspired. And the thing that really disappointed me, they've got the original crew back again. The filmmakers, actors, actresses. And they've had, even though it was only 11 years since the previous one, technology in that period of time's gone crazy. Whether it's fast internet, smartphones, apps, all these kind of, everybody's got a camera, and I just thought it didn't really make use of that at all, and it just felt like a really pointless retread. What was your biggest disappointment with it?
Probably just that it was like, let's make a sequel for the sake of it, but not thinking about the legacy of the original trilogy, and just really disappointing. And I think as well, I think maybe touched on it before in the previous podcast about the first 3. In this film, it's almost like too clever at the start. Like you think it's the start of the film, but it's not. It's stab, and then you think, and it's just. But it does it like too much, so that actually it's more annoying. It's like you can do that so much and it's quite clever, but the more you do it, it just detracts from the story.
I think another big thing with the original 3, they're horror movies and they're scary, but they were also clever and they were funny as well. And this one, not really funny. I think it's just uninspired.
I agree.
Anything in it you do like, though?
Like I say, seen all the original cast back, and what is interesting is seeing people actually who you now know as quite famous actresses or actors. So it's funny, like seeing Alison Brie, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name, but she's a really good actress and she's been in a lot. But it's funny seeing her as that young girl and Kristen Bell as well. So that was quite good, seeing people that
Hayden
quite
Panettiere.
well. Yeah.
He's in the new one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And even seeing Emma Roberts, because she was fairly young at that time as well, and she's done a lot of good films as well. And the one you're talking about there, and obviously Marley Shelton, who plays Deputy Hicks, she's in. In fact, I think she's in the next 2 films. I certainly know she's in the next one.
She certainly wouldn't be in the new one.
Oh, did she get killed?
Yeah, in part 6. Yep.
All right. She gets killed in part 6?
Part 5, sorry.
All right, I was going to see, I can't even remember. I thought she was in the 6th one somehow. I don't know. Anyway.
She is definitely not. I think that's funny you say you don't like the fake out beginning. It's kind of two fake out beginnings. I actually thought that was quite funny. So we'll agree to disagree in that one. And one of the things I thought that really was going to happen in this one, I thought Courtney Cox's character was going to get killed. I really did. For whatever reason, I'm surprised she didn't. Yeah, it did remind me. There is a really good scene in this where the character of Jill fakes the crime scene and she starts throwing herself around the room, smashing stuff. That's really good. But I think the whole, I mean, there's always the Scooby-Doo moment where the villain's revealed. I thought it was just stupid that, it's Sydney's niece is the killer because she's jealous of Sydney and wants to be famous. And I know that was meant to be a spin on the culture at the time, wannabes just getting on the internet, famous for being famous and not having any talent. And I also just think the characters in general make stupid decisions in this. And that didn't happen in, say, the original movie, where it actually rallied against that kind of thing, where why am I going to do that? Where if you go out there, you get killed. Why am I going to do that? I just thought that they kind of threw that away in this particular one.
Yeah, and it was Macaulay Culkin's brother. He was the other guy, wasn't it? Yeah. Sad as well that it was Wes Craven's last film as well.
A real horror master. Okay, well, let's rate the movie. So is it lower, middle, or top tier? And I can't remember if we'd made up our tiers for I think the bottom was Rotten Weary. Middle was Gale Fairweather. What was top again? He says, leading into his notes. Oh, what a scream. So where are you going to rate this one, Paul?
Yeah, I think you know the answer.
Yeah, I think we're both going Rotten Weary, are we?
Yeah.
Rotten Weary.
Unfortunately, yes.
There's certain rules to surviving. Believe me, I know. They always come back. The killer is a part of something in the past. This one just feels different.
You're all in danger.
Mom? With
Sydney.
I've seen this movie before.
Not this movie.
You said we were gonna finish this. Go finish it, Sydney.
Scream.
I'll be right back.
He's dead.
So I am asking this question with no spoilers intended whatsoever, but I was wondering if you could take me back to the moment when you know you've been cast in a Scream movie and you're just about to crack open the script for the first time. You have no idea what's going to happen with your character. Is there any part of you that really, really wants to be the killer?
Oh, of course. 100%.
That's actually like a psychological evaluation.
Well, 100% for me.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I would love it. I just want to be Ghostface. How epic.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's like you cement yourself in Scream history, and I guess you could do that with any other way, but I know I love doing horror, and I love a nice gruesome death scene or a nice twist. So to be such a major twist, and also be able to kind of follow that thread as you did every scene, and leave like nice things for audience members to maybe pick up on without making anything too obvious. I don't know. I just think there's so many different routes you could take. So it's really nice when it's not just victim and you get to plan and coordinate and do something different.
It's cool. They are, but in order for them to be that, they have to be scary. Scream 5, the new Scream, isn't scary, nor is it original, because we've kind of been down this route a number of times. Now that's not to say it's not without merit. Certainly the screening that I was in People laughed at some of the gags. There's gags about fan culture, which are quite funny. And there was a lot of sort of knowing nods and people just enjoying the fact that the Scream franchise was back. But what you didn't have was any of that fierce originality of the original. You certainly didn't have any of the tension or the scares of the original, despite the fact that there's 18 rated, gore and that kind of thing in it.
Okay, so let's move on into Scream 2022, released in 2022. And the director of this one is Tyler Gillette and Matt Bettinelli-Olpin. So plot for this one, 25 years after a streak of brutal murders shocked the quiet town of Woodsboro, a new killer has donned the Ghostface mask and begins targeting a group of teenagers to resurrect secrets from the town's deadly past. So the gross for this movie, it grossed 140 million worldwide on a budget of 24, thus making it its profit multiplier. It made 6 times its budget, and it was the 30th highest grossing movie worldwide of 2022. Ratings wise, it actually done very well. So 76% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 60 out of 100 critic Metascore on IMDb. Audience wise, very positive. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it stands at 81%. And on IMDb, a less enthusiastic, but still strong enough, 6.3 out of 10. So audiences like this movie. So across all the metrics, the gross of the movie, critically and audience reaction, it's an improvement on Scream 4. So they've done something right. And in fact, Dewey's sister was killed in the first film. In this, we see he has her ashes on the mantelpiece. Did you catch that? And in summary, the 5th Scream finds the franchise working harder than ever to maintain its meta edge and succeeding surprisingly often. So, Paul, was it a success for you? You seen this at the cinema as well, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I saw it for the first time last year when subscribed to Paramount. I have to say I wasn't impressed. I don't know if some of that was influenced by other people I know who had seen it as well. Is it better than the 4th one? Maybe marginally. I think it's a bit long though, that's the only thing I'd say. I think what's quite good about Scream films is most horror films about 90 minutes and this is like almost 2 hours, and I think that's something that maybe impacted my opinion of the film. But it's got a good cast, I would say that. And it's funny when you look at it because David Arquette, Dewey looks really, you notice the difference in his age. But then when you think about it, that's over 25 years since the first one, since when this one was made. So it's understandable. And I'd read that it was quite hard for them when they were doing this because David Arquette and Courtney Cox, because they'd been married and in the past, of course, they broke up. So they're like having to be professional for the film, which must have been quite hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I also I think it's a really brilliant actor, pronouncing his name right, Dylan Minnette, who was in 14 Reasons Why. He's been in quite a few things, actually. He plays like the friend. Oh, what's his name in it again? I can't remember.
Is it not 13 Reasons Why?
Maybe it is 13. I've just added one on.
You're making the sequel.
Yeah. But what's his name in it? But he's really good. He's a really good actor. So it's good to see him.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Apart from his shocking hair doing it. But,
mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. So you think it's marginally better than 4?
I'd say just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, well, so Alison loves the Scream movies, so that's great. So we get along to see them at the cinema. For me, this is the potty mouth Scream. I'm not a prude, but it probably stood out to me more so. I obviously seen it at the cinema and I rewatched it again this year on Paramount Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was just actually taken aback by how much swearing is in this, because the other 4 movies, you don't get a lot of swearing. So for whatever reason, that just really stood out to me, and I think for me, it was like they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
With that, so yeah, it's definitely the potty mouth one. It is also the requel.
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard that term before. Yeah.
Yeah, the requel, and obviously they discussed the concept of requels in this movie. So for those that don't know, it is a sequel in a continuing franchise, but it is also at the same time a reboot of that franchise, but still maintaining the continuity of what has gone before, but not always, because like they've done Halloween, and that's a requel where the continuity is different. I think they basically say that all the sequels didn't happen, and this is the second one when they rebooted it. So, but anyway, so yeah, it's an interesting concept. But for me, I thought it was okay when I seen it at the cinema. When I rewatched it, it had gone down in my estimations. It is really just the same old gubbins. There's nothing really new here, other than talk about requels. I think the biggest surprise, spoiler, was Dewey surprising. Was his death.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised, and a pretty horrific one as well. And I think was it Sam who's the new heroine of the franchise rather than Sydney. And what I will say, I thought in this one she wasn't all that interesting. And I thought the same could be said of the Friends, but we'll talk about Scream 6. They actually, I think, remedy a lot of that in this new one. I think they're much more likable bunch and charismatic bunch in the new one. I thought Jack Quaid was brilliant as Richie, and Jack Quaid, he was, wasn't he?
Dennis
He's always
Quaid's
good.
son, yeah.
Well, I think somebody made that up.
Is it not his?
I am sure I read that. I thought, oh, really? And then I looked up, and he's not. So it could be. He might not. I'm sure somebody made that up. Anyway,
You know who he looks like? A younger version of the guy that was in Dawson's Creek, and he was in The Affair. A really good actor. Can't remember his name.
Yeah. You're Joshua Jackson.
Yeah, he looks so.
Yeah,
like
he does
him.
actually. He does. But he's brilliant in The Boys. It's a brilliant show. You know,
Oh, I
it's on
haven't seen
Amazon.
it, but yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
Do you know who I thought it was good to see back in it? Billy Loomis. Like even though it's not, he's not in it, but he is in it in the imagination.
Yeah, I'll say imagine. I wonder if he appears in the new one as well, Paul.
Do you think they took? I never mentioned it in the previous pod, but do you think they took his name from Psycho, Loomis? Because that was the name of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the name of the mum. No, the people that go to the hotel. Yeah, the woman that gets killed in the shower and her mum. They're Loomis.
Yeah, but also
Halloween's Loomis as
Halloween.
well, isn't it?
Yep.
Donald
So Halloween
Pleasance's
as well.
character. Yeah.
Yep. So it's kind of a thread running through them, which is quite cool to have. But you actually feel bad saying this. I thought the scariest thing about the movie was what Courtney Cox had done to her face.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
It is. I know. That was like, oh, what's going on there? And I have to say, after seeing this one, I thought I'd checked out of the franchise, because I think the first two are brilliant. The third one, it's good. 4, rubbish. This one, not that good. And I just thought, yeah, I'm done. But then I seen the trailer for the new one, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But let's rate this one. Where are you going to rate this one, Paul?
The bottom again.
Rotten Weary?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. So it's, but better than 4, though.
Yeah, marginally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say better.
I'm with you there.
It's for you.
Strange that you and I have never spoken on the phone. This is long overdue.
What is this place?
I
shrine.
Did you miss me?
He's gonna keep coming after us. Maybe he gets to win this time.
We've got to lure him in.
Maybe execute him.
Scream.
I hear you're a horror fan.
It's been said.
Love how you establish a foundation for Sam in Scream 5 and then just run with it here. What is one thing you wanted to keep consistent about the character from 5 to 6, but then also what is something that you wanted to show the audience that's new to her now based on how she responded to the events of 5?
I think I mean, Sam is a tough girl, and I think I wanted that to continue, but I definitely wanted to show a more vulnerable side of her in this one and get to show more shades to her, because now that like the dam has burst, there's just so much that naturally would come out, and that fear of like having to protect her sister, I think would just give way to have a lot more emotions come out. And I think that's what I was really excited to explore in this next movie.
Is it technically better? Are some of the jokes more? It's like, no, we did all this. We did all this so many years ago, so much better. And I know, okay, fine, I'm approaching 60 and probably it's a generational thing. And maybe some of the people who are going to enjoy the movie weren't even born when Scream came out. It's just stop. Just stop. Stop having these smug conversations about, oh, yeah, well, there's one bit in which two characters go, oh, okay, which Nightmare on Elm Street? Oh, the first one. Oh, which Friday the 13th? Oh, the thing. Oh, there's a joke about that. Oh, yeah. And then which version of Candyman? Oh, the original or the reboot? Both. Oh, yeah, Game C's Game. You go, I've been around horror fans my entire life. None of us speak like that. Never have done, never will do. Don't know, don't care, couldn't spoil it, because having seen it, I've got absolutely no idea of or interest in who did what, to whom, how, when,
and so on.
Okay, so we're on to the newest movie, Scream 6, which has been released this year. 2023, again directed by Tyler Gillette and Matt Bettinelli Open. And the plot for this one, well, not going to say too much about it, but following the latest Ghostface killings, the 4 survivors leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York. But unfortunately, the horror returns. So we can't really give you the gross for this one because it's still in general release, although it did have the franchise's highest opening weekend in the US. I think it was, 44 or 45 million. So it got off to a very healthy start. And I think good reviews will give it some legs as well. So yeah, it could end up, see how it goes, might end up being the highest grossing in the franchise. Ratings-wise, currently, it has a 77 critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 61 out of 100 critic Metascore on IMDb. Okay, audience-wise on Rotten Tomatoes, it's actually up at 92%. Although I will say you have to be careful because that may well come down, because usually the people that rush out to see a movie are the fans. And they will rank it really strong.
Because the last one they gave really good reviews, didn't they? But actually, the IMDb one wasn't good, and that was more of an indicator.
So, yeah, the IMDb here actually currently is 73 out of 100. So, I think probably if you took the average of those two audience scores, you'd get to where it should be. In fact, this is the first Scream movie not to feature the character of Sidney Prescott, as played by Neve Campbell. She is not in it. And apparently that was due to wrangling over her salary. They did not offer her enough money, and she felt she was worth more, so she bowed out. And I have to say, I think that's a bit of a blessing, because this film feels different because of that. where you can focus in really on the newer characters, which is no bad thing. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, but they are going to make Scream 7, and she is apparently back for that. So she must have got her money, made her point. Although I will say, if it's spoiling too much, she does appear in this, just not physically. And in summary, certain aspect of the horror's most murderously meta franchise may be going stale, but a change of setting and some inventive set pieces help keep Scream 6 reasonably sharp. So I don't have any notes for this because I did see it last night, and I was home quite late, and I've been working all day today and just came home and I'm doing this. So I have no notes prepared. So this is going to be very off the cuff. So I will say that without spoiling the movie for anybody, for me, this is the best Scream movie since Scream 2. I really enjoyed it. Yes, you've got Gail Weathers in this one, but you don't have Sydney, of course, and you don't have Dewey because he was killed off in the 5th movie. So you are really left to get to know the kind of core 4 from the last movie, and that's a good thing, because you do really root for them in this. I would say that it's obviously moved to New York, which has freshened things up as well, because rather than being maybe in a confined space, you're now got this whole city, and it's Halloween, so there's lots of Ghostface running around, so it could be anyone. There's a lot of really good set pieces. I think maybe my favorite, and you've seen it in the trailer, is when they're on the subway train and there's lots of ghost faces on it because it's Halloween, and then one starts to look over at them and they're like, yeah, that's really good. But yeah, there's a lot of inventive set pieces in this. I would say it's probably the most gory of the 6 movies. I think the last one that was obviously much more gory than the previous 4. This one is gorier. The one thing that's maybe lacking compared to the original trilogy is the humor. There's still funny moments in it, but I think the humor played a big part in what people really enjoyed about those first 3, especially the first 2. They were funny, scary. So it maybe misses that a little bit, but yeah. What else can I say? There is a nice tie-in to the previous entries as well. I won't go any further about that. And I'm normally, which is a bit of a curse for me, I'm normally really good at spotting the twists in movies or working out who the killer or killers are before it happens, which is rubbish because it then isn't a surprise to you. I will say in this one, I was surprised and I was like, ooh, very good. And I won't say if it's a killer or killers, so you can see that for yourself. So that was a good reveal. Although, like a lot of the reveals, you're like, really? But it was entertaining. So, yeah, I don't really want to say more than that. But yes, it's for me revitalized. I really enjoyed it. Really liked that they've moved it to a big city, which it freshened it up. Maybe a little bit darker than some of the previous entries, figuratively and literally, because most of it takes place at night. And yeah, thumbs up. So hopefully you will enjoy it when you get round to seeing it.
Yeah, as we're talking here, I'm just looking the trailers on IMDb that I'm looking at. So yeah, I see the bit you're talking about. The scream all the scream masks on the train, and
it's good.
What I do like about it, it's a really it's different, the artwork, but it's really cool, and how they use the M on Scream and to put the VI for 6. I think that's quite clever.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that they've got the Roman numerals back in it, rather than I didn't like the fact that they called that Scream.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah,
because it's not Scream 5, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Or they could have called it Scream something.
Yeah.
Scream again.
Yeah, because there is already a Scream, so that's the thing, it's like...
Scream again.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing worth mentioning, Hayden Patineri, who was in the fourth one, is back in this one as an FBI agent, and she's good in it.
Yeah,
Good cast.
yeah.
It's a
Kirby
good
Reed.
cast for this one.
Mm.
So yeah, it'll keep you on your toes, and I think it's 2 hours. It did fly by,
Yes.
I must
Right,
say.
okay,
Yeah,
that's a good sign then.
never looked at my watch once. So yeah, hope you enjoy it when you get round to see it.
Yeah, no.
So there we are. So let's rank these from best to worst. So you're only going to do the 5. I'll do the full 6. Why don't you go first? Why don't you start from your least favorite to your favorite?
Okay, so 4 would be at the bottom, and then 5, then 3, 2, 1. So it's almost in that order. You
Ted
probably put
Rogers,
similar.
Dusty
I
Bin.
know.
No need for that. I would say, so I'll start in reverse. 4 would be at the bottom for me. 5 would be in 5th. That works out well. 4th would be the 3rd movie.
The new one.
3rd would be the new one. Scream 2 would be 2nd, and the original Scream would be number 1 for me. Yeah. I don't know if
that's
I'll
quite
ever,
a big statement
ever
about
top
saying
that.
it's better than the 3rd one. That's quite a big, this one.
It is, yeah. Yeah, yes it is. I always just think, right, if you were to say, right, I'll give you 3 of the Scream movies to take away to watch while you're away. That's the only thing you're going to watch over the next 2 weeks. Which 3 are you taking with you? Yeah, I think this new one's just a bit more, I don't know, a bit more fresh, bit more different. It hasn't got Sydney and Dewey, and it is in a big city. Just think it's a bit fresher. Worth more of a rewatch than the 3rd one, which was the weakest of the original trilogy by some margin. So yeah, there we are. So I'm delighted.
This kept the franchise alive. Yeah, maybe this has kept the franchise alive.
Yeah, well,
because after the last one, I
6.
thought that'll be it.
I know. And in the day, it is a part 6, so it's just really nice to come out of it going, yay, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, and I definitely, if when it comes on Paramount, whatever, I'd definitely rewatch it. Okay, well, that's enough blood, guts, and murder for the time being. But before we go, though, just make mention that if you want to get in touch with us or find out what we're up to, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you do get in touch, you can then subscribe, follow, like, leave reviews. If you do leave reviews, make them good. So yeah, I think next up, Paul, I think we're looking at the Daniel Craig Bonds, aren't we? Is that our next port of call? So I think we're going to split that over 2 parts, where I think we'll maybe look at Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall, and then we'll do part 2 looking at Spectre and No Time to Die, which are very, very discussive films, I think, those 2. So I think we'll have a lot to say on those particular.
It feels like they belong separately, as opposed to the first 3 almost.
I would agree with that. So I think we'll have lots to discuss just in just those 2 movies. So yeah, looking forward to that. I must rewatch No Time to Die before then. So yeah, get around to that at some point. So thank you for listening or watching today, and be sure to come back for the Daniel Craig James Bond pods. Until then, keep trimming.